Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm super excited you could be here because today we're going to talk about scaling with purpose. We're going to talk about building a seven-figure business. So we're going to talk about doing it through strategy and through faith. I mean, this is the path to building a seven-figure business if you're not there already. And even if you are there, you're going to get some really cool tips to help you scale effectively, even beyond that, up to eight figures and beyond. So with us today is Dr. Darnyelle Jervey Harmon. Now, she's actually the CEO of Incredible One Enterprises LLC, a multi-million-dollar coaching and consultant brand known for transforming the lives of her clients. She helps entrepreneurs scale their businesses to seven figures while strengthening their faith. Now, her experience spans mindset, marketing, sales, systems, and scaling strategies, creating lasting financial and spiritual success. Now, a sought-after speaker and strategist, her work has been featured in Essence, Success, Black Enterprise, and O magazines. She is a best-selling author of seven books. I don't even know how she has time to work with seven books. Seven books, including Burn the Box, which I love, and Market Like a Rock Star, R.O.C.K. star, Market Like a Rock Star. Now, her accolades include the Women Presidents Organization and Women of Color Excellence Award, Black CEO of the Year, and two honorary PhDs in entrepreneurship. Darnyelle holds a BA from the University of Delaware, an MBA from Goldey Beacom College, and certifications in executive coaching and business strategy. With a prolific anointing and a passion for purpose-driven business, she empowers entrepreneurs to achieve both financial freedom and spiritual alignment. Hey, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Ty. I appreciate it so much. I always get jazzed when people read my full bio. I'm like, oh, I've done some pretty cool things.
Yeah, so I'm saying, I'm looking at this, I'm like, wow, I can't even pronounce half the stuff that you've done. Like, that's how cool it is. Like, you've done some major things. How have you accomplished so much and yet you're so young? Like, how much you've accomplished so much in such little time?
Wow. I don't know if I'm so young, but I mean, I guess maybe in the grand scheme of things, I'll be 50 this year, at the time of this recording. I am very mission driven, and I think that to be a person who lives on purpose is absolutely essential. So I try to make my time count, right? It's the one thing that none of us are ever going to get more of. And so I'm looking for ways to buy back my time, but also the time that I spend to make sure that it makes a difference. And for me, I want to, I want to expand my mind. I want to expand my money, and I want to expand the mark that I'm here to leave on the world.
I love it. I've followed you on social. You do some just amazing things. You have a huge tribe of loyal followers, and you've really just kind of almost caused this disruption in the coaching space. What is going on? Like, what is it that you're doing so unique and different? Because everybody nowadays is calling themselves a coach when they're not. You and I both know that. But
Right.
what you're doing out there is literally shifting the entire industry. So what is your approach that makes it so different from anybody else I've ever seen?
I think one of the most important things that I've made the decision to do is to really go all in on what it actually takes to be successful. And that is highlighting and saying out loud without apology the importance of faith and having a faith center. Now, I'm using the word faith because you get to choose what your faith is, right? I'm not religious, and I'm also not looking to point anyone into a direction of a specific religion, but I am interested in people understanding the faith-driven principles, the spiritual principles that govern what it is that we do every single day. And there is something really magic that happens when your faith aligns with your work and you call it out and bring it to the forefront. And so being disruptive to say something that I think we all already know and believe. I mean, our money says, "In God we trust." So we're not agnostic to conversations about faith, right? The four founders of this country, the United States, they came here to escape religious persecution, right? That's how this whole country started. So we're not agnostic to it. And thinking that we have to separate the two is really doing more harm than good. Bringing them together really gives us a purpose for the work that we're doing. And it helps to establish meaning for the legacies that hopefully we'll have the ability to create through the work that we do every single day.
I love that. And I've never heard of anybody talk about faith the way that you do and bring faith into it. And it's really important to be able to run a business. And not, like you said, even faith from within yourself as much as outside forces, right? And
Absolutely.
I personally believe so much that outside forces, if you do have the faith, are a contributing factor to running a business. To me, it's like health. Like, how can you run a business if you're not healthy? Like, what are you thinking?
Right.
Like, it takes so much work, mental, emotional, physical. Like, that's just a foundational principle that so many people overlook. So, why is this missed? Like, why are people not talking about faith more in considering it's so vitally important to being able to successfully run and grow a business?
Yeah, I blame Fannie Lou Hamer. For those of you who don't know who that is the woman who successfully got prayer removed from schools however many years ago that actually happened. This whole idiom of the separation between church and state is, I think, what gets people in a bind about how much of their faith they can bring into their work. I hear all the time from our clients, I don't want to offend anyone. And I don't think that being a faith driven person is offensive, right? I think we all have faith in something. We have faith that when we go to sit down in our chair, it will hold us. We have faith when we go out to our car to start it to go wherever we desire to go, that it will start. We have faith in a lot of different things. And so calling out your faith is actually what makes you human. It's what makes you American. It's what makes you a person that has a desire to do work that's going to impact the lives of others in a way that's going to solve those problems that they've been unsuccessful at solving on their own. And so the more we stop thinking that our faith has to be a separate thing and we find out how for ourselves to bring it in and bring it full circle and to allow it to be part of what it is that we do, the better we get. I mean, I think most people love Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A is not open on Sunday. Why? Because of their faith, right? And we don't go storming the gates of every Chick-fil-A on Sunday when we can't get the sandwich with the pickle. We just wait until Monday, or we get two on Saturday. We've learned how to work around their exercise of faith. And so we can do the same exact thing in our own businesses and find that there's an appreciation that our clients, who are also human beings who live in a country whose money says, "In God we trust," and whose politicians in every speech saying, "And God bless America," that it's okay. And it doesn't mean you're offending anyone, that you've made a decision that you want to wear your faith as part of your core values for the way that you choose to operate your company.
I love it. And I love that you so openly talk about it because so many don't. And like we are just scared to talk about and say so many things nowadays. And I love that you're not. When it comes to you, also talk about mindset a lot too.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit. I mean, from your tribe, what is that you teach regarding mindset and the importance of mindset with being able to scale to seven figures and above?
Yeah. 95% of your success is tied to the 6 inches in between your ears. And until you work on the 6 inches in between your ears, you will not feel figures between your fingers, right? Mindset is everything. I think Aristotle said, um, life is about the way that you respond to things. That's the Darnyelle version of the way he says it. I can't give you the exact words. But mindset really is an understanding that the way you think and what you think about determines what you actually get to experience inside of your life, inside of your business. Most of us, regardless of whether you were born into a family that had money or not, we were taught and we were raised in a filter of lack. And so we breathe lack into everything that it is that we do. Well, the challenge with that is that when we are focused on lack, we are not seeing the abundance that is always surrounding us. And if you really want to build a business that will offer you all of the benefits for which you probably quit your good job. I mean, I know I quit my good 6 figure a year job not to struggle and not to live in the statistics that impact most small businesses, right? If you look at the statistics as a Black woman, Black women owned businesses, according to Wells Fargo's 2024 report, make an average of $47,000 a year. Well, I didn't quit my good job to make $47,000 a year as an entrepreneur. I quit my good job to be able to establish and create financial legacy for my family, to be able to be worth today 8 figures. And the reason that was able to change, and I haven't been caught under the thoughts that I held when I was an employee and have been able to become successful as an entrepreneur, is because I work on my mindset at the same level, if not more, that I work on the strategies that I employ in order to attract clients. And so they really do need to run concurrently in everything that it is that you're doing, or mindset needs to supersede right? I always say often that your inner game, your mindset, you need to work on that at 3 times the rate you work on your outer game or your strategy.
Yeah, and I love that. And listen, you've overcome some pretty big forces because in the capital space alone, like it's staggering. Women struggle to get money compared to men, black
Yeah.
versus white. And then when you combine the two, it's astonishing of how few black women make it to that level of success, and the forces fighting against you. It's just the whole system is rigged against you. I don't even understand where it comes from. But
Yeah.
like on the capital side, like I see the statistics and it's frustrating on how difficult it is for a woman, especially a black woman entrepreneur, to even get the money you need to succeed. So
Yeah.
you just had to overcome a lot of adversity to even get to where you are.
Yeah, and I didn't get money from outside forces, right? I bootstrapped my business up to 7 figures. And it is a shame, and we do actually know where it comes from. I mean, it's no surprise to anyone, I hope, that is here in the United States that we used to have a thing called slavery, and my people were enslaved, right? And so all of that really breeds and determines the way that people of color, Black people, have been treated inside of our country, and it has impacted from a financial standpoint. There have been a lot of setbacks. So to be a Black woman who has accomplished so many amazing things, who has overcome so much adversity, it is something I'm really proud of, because only 0.5% of all Black women ever make 7 figures a year in their business. It is a big deal to be this woman sitting right here, right now, Ty, having this conversation with you, being a source of inspiration for everyone who will listen. And I'm not a victim, right? Yes, I know these things happen, but I made a choice. We were talking about mindset a moment ago. I could and probably would have every right to still be angry or frustrated or held back by the fact that for many years in this country, my people were enslaved and unable to be where I am today. I could hold that and would probably have the right to, but it's not serving me and it wouldn't serve anyone else. So instead, I've changed my mindset and I've done the work and learned what I needed to learn in order to surmount those odds, to be able to overcome those adversities, and to be here today as an example of what is possible when you do your mindset work along with your strategy, and you do it while leaning into your faith and allowing your faith to be a guidepost for everything that it is that you do every single day in the world at large and in your own microcosm of a world, so that you can actually be the change you want to see in the world, right? Like, that's what it's about for me. Like, let me be an example of what is possible. And for those of you who might be listening that don't have the odds that I had to overcome in order to be here today, like, rock on. As a result of being potentially in a different situation, capitalize on that, do the work, show up fully, and take your business to the next level, because the world needs more businesses that are generating at a level to actually make changes in our world, right? I say all the time, Ty, it's hard to be the change when you don't have any. So for me, having a 7 figure business is primarily about being able to be the change I want to see in the world, because I can actually say more with my dollars than I can ever say with my mouth, because some things are only going to change if we can put a dime on it. And being able to have a business that operates at the level that mine does, to create the revenue that it does, not just to pay my team and to pay myself, but to establish financial legacy and to give to the causes that are important to me. We get to enact change every single day because we run businesses that generate beyond what we need to live and to sustain a living that allows us to be able to take care of our families. And that's a big deal.
It's a really big deal. And you just mentioned legacy, and that's another thing that's big that I love that you teach, is that your teachings are not about making money or building a business. It's about building your legacy. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. I think, or I believe that the only way to really exist in this world is to think about what happens when your sun sets. Every single one of us at some point in time, our number is going to be called and our time here on earth is going to be up. I don't know about y'all, but personally, when my name is called and when people are remarking about me, I want them to be able to speak to the contribution that I was able to make on the earth, and not just the financial contribution, although that is really important to me that I be able to contribute financially, but the work that I did, that I cared for people, that I wasn't self-serving, and that I was thinking about the causes that I could support. As a company, we tithe 10% of everything that we earn at the top line of our company. We put back out into nonprofit organizations and causes that are doing work that we want to see done in the earth. We do that. I wouldn't be able to do that if it weren't for my core values, and second, having a business that allows me to earn at the level that I earn. So for me, legacy is about having something once you're gone for people to remember you by. Right. And legacy is not just financial, but legacy is absolutely financial. Right. We want to enact change. We want to enact policy. We want to enact our industry. And we want to make sure that our grandchildren and great grandchildren and great, 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 great grandchildren know our name because we created a contribution for them. One of the things that I've been working on and really pride myself on is I've built a trust for my legacy, and I've learned how to be able to allow my nieces and nephews, I don't have children myself at this time, but to allow them to be able to benefit from my trust, to be able to start their own business, or to be able to build a home, or to be able to go to college, or like that's a big part of my legacy. So I work today, and I've set up this business today to serve me financially and spiritually, not just so that I can live well today, but for, I'm going for 700 generations. I want to be like the Rockefeller. So for 700 generations, I want my legacy to still be speaking, and people who come from my bloodline to be able to say, as a result of my great aunt, or my great, 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 great aunt, Darnyelle, I am able to go to college for free. I didn't need to get a scholarship because she created an environment for me. She created a legacy for me. She created a financial resource pool for me so that I would be able to change my situation and not be held by the circumstances that I might have been raised into.
Darnyelle, I love that. And I love that you take, 10% off the top end to put into to things that you believe in. But this is somewhere I see a lot of entrepreneurs struggle. I see so many people out there bragging about what their top line is, and they suck at profit. Like they suck at profit, right? And so,
Yeah.
like, what is going on? Like, how do you get to a point? Because it's not just that you built to seven figures. People don't understand, like, 10% of your top is like 15, 20% plus of your margin, right? So like you
Right.
have that to give away. Most people can never even get there. So like what do you
Yeah.
help your tribe do to understand how to really get the profits and margins to a point where they could properly have the financial freedom there?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, profit is how we keep score in business. It is not cool to have a business that doesn't earn anything, right? And so it is important that when you set your prices, you price such that there is profit at the transaction level and not at the end of the year. That's where most entrepreneurs go wrong. They price themselves really too low. And then at the end of the year, they're hoping and praying that there's money left over for them to have profit, which is why profit margins are abysmal. So the way that you really counteract that is at the transaction level, you actually create your pricing to be able to put profit off the top. And I'm going to give you some examples and some numbers. One of the trainings that I have for our clients in our programs that I'm going to share with all of you, and you are welcome to use this strategy. So let's say that you have a program that you price at $30,000 for the year. That's not a bad pricing. For that $30,000 program, my recommendation is that it does not cost you more than $10,000 to fulfill that program. If it only costs you $10,000 to fulfill a program that people pay you $30,000 for, you've got $20,000 potentially in profit. Of that $20,000, I then want you to split it in half. I want you to take 10%, and at 10% that is remaining, I want you to reinvest it back into your business. I want you to take the other 10% and I want you to put it away as profit. If you bring in $10,000 that you're able to sock away and profit off for every $30,000 program that you sell, and if you bring on 100 clients in a year, you just profited $1 million. That $1 million that you profit can go to real estate, which can become family homes for your family. It can go to life insurance policies, which allows you to build a trust with cash flow banking so that your people can borrow from the trust without ever taking the principal from the trust, which is how you get to that Rockefeller wealth, right? It would allow you to be able to give to other causes that you want to be able to give. And it would allow you to not have to work until you're 80 years old if that's what it would take to be able to sustain a living. And that's just that $30,000. In order for that to happen, you have to tighten what happens inside of the program so that you could have $20,000 that you have to appropriate a portion of which to profit in your business. So that's just a quick example. And that's one of the things we do with our clients. We look at what their programs are and what the pricing is, and we make sure that there's enough profit at the transaction level to actually be able to give them profit, not just for the end of the year for their business, but for their life and for their retirement and for their legacy. There's actually money left over. And if you were just, let's just say for the next 10 years, you did that, you'd have $10 million that you are profiting, that you can put into other investments that you could then multiply into more multiple millions of dollars in order to be able to create a really nice estate that would allow your family and the legacy of your family to live for way longer than you might live. It gets to be easy, but in order for that to happen, you have to understand what you're offering and what your pricing needs to be, and how to actually set up a program that's going to allow you to be able to have that much in profit while still charging at that level.
You're helping your tribe and clients get there. One of the common things that I hear with entrepreneurs is they're just afraid. Like they're afraid to raise their prices to what they're worth because they don't think the customers will or can pay that amount of money. How do you overcome that objection? I'm sure you deal with that a lot when you're having pricing discussions with your tribe.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, shame on you for trying to project someone else's checkbook. Shame on you. We all know people who have afforded something that they really couldn't afford. I mean, like, okay, let's just keep it real. More than likely, the house you live in, if you have a mortgage, if you had to pay the full price of the mortgage at the time that you bought the house, you probably wouldn't be living in that house. You live in that house because they gave you a 30-year or 15 years to pay for it, right? You drive the car that you drive because they give you 60 months to pay for it if you take out a loan. No one could technically probably afford if we had to give the full amount up front. And even still, when people can't afford, they still are driving the Mercedes or the Maserati or the Bentley or whatever they're driving, and they're still living in the gated community. So shame on you to make a decision about whether or not someone should or shouldn't be able to afford it. What your responsibility is to provide the value, to make it painstakingly clear what is at stake for them if they choose not to invest in themselves through your product or service to solve this problem that they have been unsuccessful at solving on their own. That's your only business, is to present what it is that they need to know in order to be able to make a good decision as to whether or not they want to take the next step to work directly with you. That's it. Anything else, you're over inserting yourself into their business, and you really shouldn't. It's not your business. Your job is just to let them know that you can solve their problem. And so I think if we can stop projecting and determining in advance, I'm going to tell a quick story. So prior to starting my own company, I was a R.O.C.K cosmetics consultant and sales director. I had the pink Cadillac, all the things. And so as a part of the way that I used to work my R.O.C.K business, I would go to the supermarket or the Walmart or the Target, and I would go down the cosmetics aisle, and I would be, dressed in my full R.O.C.K regalia, and I would walk down the aisle and I would see a woman looking at the cosmetics, and I would start a conversation with her. Well, one time I was in the supermarket, and I know that I was to be taught a lesson because I was in the supermarket and I see this woman who looked very disheveled. She had on sweatpants that were really baggy and there were rips in them. She had on a big sweatshirt and there was like food or something all over it. She looked disheveled. She did not, to your point, Ty, she did not look like a woman who would be able to afford R.O.C.K cosmetics. But my spirit, the still small voice in my head said, approach her, talk to her. And first, I kind of looked at myself like I was crazy, like, talk to her, look at her. But then I made a decision that I was not going to self-project, and I was not going to make any assumptions based on the way she was presenting herself to me. I was going to be obedient to what I heard my spirit say, and I was going to go and talk to this woman. And so I did. And so I approached this woman, and I said, I would love to offer you a personal pampering session. She lit up like a Christmas tree, and she invited me to her home, where she would have 3 of her girlfriends waiting with her to be pampered by me with my R.O.C.K products. Well, Ty, I drove into the gated community. I turned onto her street, her circular drive, which had not one, not two, but four Range Rovers in it. And I went in to her and her girlfriends, who all spent over $300 each with me on my Mary Kay products. Now, if I would have just looked at how she presented herself in the supermarket and tossed her out because there's no way she could have afforded me based on the way that she looked, I would not have left her home with $1,200 after an hour of my time being spent with these four women. The moral to the story for everyone listening is figure out what it costs for you to serve your clients in the best possible way, most excellent, and then charge accordingly so that there is profit left over, and leave how they choose to afford it up to them. Don't worry yourself with how they're going to afford it, because here's what I know. If they want that problem solved bad enough, they will find a way, they will make a way to be able to afford the solution that is going to solve their problem.
I love that for so many reasons. My mom sells Mary Kay since I was a
Oh, nice.
kid. So it brings back so many memories. The other thing is I don't know if you watching this, I don't know if you hear just hustle. Like you don't know what it takes in Mary Kay to get to pink Cadillac. Well, I don't know if you know this. I do. It's a lot of work. And the
It was a
fact that
lot.
you're out there going through grocery stores one by one, finding people like that. There's these little nuggets in what you're saying, and I hope people aren't over listening or watching because it's just it's powerful. You
Yeah.
talk about the spiritual side. One of the other things I think it's interesting that you teach is this financial and spiritual alignment. So,
Mhm.
how do you help your clients achieve that?
Yeah. So, first thing that we have to do is we have to meet people where they are. And most people operate with a filter that has an erroneous relationship with money. What I mean by that is, most of us were raised in the misquoted scripture, money is the root of all evil. That's not actually even what the scripture says. And it is absolutely not what the scripture means. So the scripture actually says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. But what we have to keep in mind is that we can't even take that at face value, because the Bible was written in three languages and English was not one of them. So most things are translated and many things are translated incorrectly, being this phrase, the love of money. The love of money is actually the Greek word avarice, which means extreme greed. So, what the scripture really says is extreme greed is the root of all evil, not that the love of money is the root of all evil. But anyway, most people get that wrong. And so, as a result, they have a relationship with money that is actually not sound. So, first, we have to meet them where they are and we have to help them shift their relationship with money. If I can get you to see yourself and to see money the way that God intended that money be seen, then we're actually on route to the most amazing transformation you could ever experience in your life. There is a reason why in the Bible, for all of my Bible scholars out there, or maybe even just people who are curious, God talks about money, wealth, and possessions more than he talked about heaven or hell. 2,300 times he talks about money, wealth, or possessions. Why? Because money is actually something that we humans are supposed to master. We are supposed to have access to lots of it. But most of us are raised where even if we came from money, money is taboo, it's a secret, you don't talk about it. And as a result, we have this relationship with money that is a little funny, and it messes with our ability to be able to create the kind of money that we actually want to make. So the first step is to get our clients to shift the way they see themselves and to get them to shift the way they see money. Once we do that, then that will give them the power and the permission and the confidence to actually raise their rates and to charge what they deserve to earn for the service. Now, I want you to notice that I did not say charge what they are worth. Your packages and your prices are not about your worth. And that is one of the reasons why people have problems with charging and their pricing, because they're equating their identity with money. And your identity needs to be separate from money. It's about the value of the service. The solution that you bring to the table has nothing to do with your worthiness. You came here worthy. You will always and forever be worthy. But because we question our worth and we make our worth about money, it taints the experience that we have with money. And that is why we don't want to charge enough for it. And I see it all the time, Ty. Like literally, I will ask if people were here right now, I'd say, raise your hand if you know right now you're not charging enough. And probably 85 or 90% of the hands would go up, because most people are also painstakingly aware that they are undercharging. But because of the way they see money, because of the way that they were raised and what they were taught and what they caught about money, they feel like the way that they see money today is warranted because of how they were raised, instead of recognizing that the things that you used to believe, you can choose not to believe them anymore, and everything will be okay. So helping our clients by meeting them where they are, teaching them about money, giving them a formula that they can use in black and white based on their direct cost, their general and administrative costs, and their overhead, the percentage of profitability that they want to earn on every single package that they sell, allows the numbers to be plain and clear in black and white, so that there is no room for misunderstanding and misinterpretation what the numbers actually need to be in order for it to produce a level of profit that's going to allow you to get ahead inside of your business.
Darnyelle, I love this. Everything. I love your passion, and you just give advice that just people are not giving out there. There's so many people that are watching this, they're just freaking stuck. Like they got it, they got excited, they built momentum, they got to six figures, maybe multiple, and then they're just stuck. Like they don't know what to do. They cannot get even close or get past that seven-figure mark. As we get ready to wrap up, what's some of your best advice that you can give them that we haven't yet covered today?
Yeah, so I would say if you find yourself stuck at six figures and you know you need to be at seven, you probably need someone else to take a look at what's going on in your business. I heard this quote several years ago, and I still say it to this day. It is hard to read the label when you are inside the jar. It is hard to read the label when you are inside the jar. You need someone else to look at your label. You need someone else to tell you that there's a word misspelled, there's something wrong with your marketing, that your messaging is not really strong, that your KPIs are you're not tracking the right things. Because I believe that if you got a business that is doing six figures, you have a business that can do seven figures. It's just not packaged, it's not positioned, you're not priced right, and you're not operating in the right systems every single day in order to produce what it is you want to see happen on the back end. And it's going to take someone else to take a look at it. Someone like myself, I welcome the opportunity. I'll share in a moment how you could find me and learn more about that. But you're going to need someone else who has experience helping people that have been in the same exact position that you are in right now get to where it is that they truly want to be. Since 2021, we've helped 77 entrepreneurs and small business owners just like you have their first or next seven-figure year. Now, one, maybe that's a fluke. Two or three times, yeah, maybe it's a coincidence we got lucky. 77 and a little less than 3 years, yeah, we know what we're doing. We know exactly what to look at. We know exactly what needs to shift. We know exactly how to support you in actually being able to get there. So you want to find someone who can support you. If you hold the belief that there is a seven-figure business in you, I believe that that belief is there because you are supposed to realize it. But it's challenging often to try to do it in your own strength. If you could do it by yourself, it would already be done. So get the support that you need. Go find someone. If it's not me, if I'm not your cup of tea, no harm, no foul, but go find someone who understands business, who can take a look at your business, who can perform an audit and an assessment and see exactly what the gaps are in your business and help you to figure out how to turn those gaps into gateways to get to your next level. When we actually do one of these sessions with someone who has become our client, we can see them get their business to seven figures in 1 to 3 years. On average, taking about 18 months to be able to make it happen. And that's from starting at $180,000 a year, and your business might be doing more than that. So it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be arduous, but you do need to find someone who has experience helping people do exactly what it is you endeavor to do, that you vibe with, that you can synergize with, that you can trust to let your guard down and be vulnerable and transparent about what's going on in your business to get the support that you need to get to where it is that you desire to be instead.
Love it. Where can everybody go that's watching to be able to learn more? Because we just scratched the surface. Like, I mean,
Yes.
literally just scratched the surface. So where can they go to be able to learn more about all the brilliant things that you have to teach?
Yeah, if you go to move2millions.com, it's a digest site. And from there, you'll be able to connect with me on social media. You'll be able to learn about my podcast, my book, my planner, our coaching programs, our live events. All of the things that you'd want to know about me and my business and my amazing team are waiting for you right now at move2millions.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Thank you for having me, Ty. This has been great.
So listen, if you're watching this, make sure you go right now to movetomillions.com. I mean, listen, I don't know about you. We've done what 900 and something episodes here, and I can tell you that nobody has ever talked like she talks, right? Nobody has talked about these things, about spirituality, about the relationship that you have in your business, about legacy, about the money part, and about how you can accomplish seven figures as well, and about the mindset. There's so many pieces that are really the crucial foundation that you have to get to seven and eight figures and beyond. And I think so many people are trying to solve like tactical problems up here when they don't have the foundation built correctly. And what she's really talked about today, Darnyelle has introduced us to the way you should be thinking about legacy, the way you should be thinking about money, about your pricing, about the value that you bring to your customers, about so many other things. But we just scratched the surface. So make sure you go to movetomillions.com. I mean, she's got a podcast, she's got a blog, she's got courses, she's got a shop, there's so many different ways that you can be able to partake and be able to get more information and learn. You can even follow her on all of her social channels where she has phenomenal content. Now, warning, once you get in, like it just sucks you in and then you're there for like hours in your day. So I do it at night because her content is so solid that you literally will get drawn in and you will be there just learning and getting more and more and more pumped up. So if you're not pumped up from this interview, I don't know what's wrong with you, because this is exactly what Darnyelle does. I mean, there's just so many things that you're going to be able to learn from her teaching. So make sure that you go to movetomillions.com, movetomillions.com, and make sure you follow Darnyelle follow Darnyelle on her social channels as well. And you can get all of that by going to movetomillions.com. So thank you very much for tuning in. Take care. Make sure you check it out at movetomillions.com. Have a great day.